Hey gamers, today we're going to look at After the Empire. Let's check it out. Lots of setup here for the game, so let's talk about it. First off, you're going to take all of these little invader decks, you're going to shuffle it and also spin these cards around little by little and then reveal the first one. There are spaces for others as rounds go on, and then you're going to shuffle the siege deck and of course spin those around too. I'll explain why in a minute. You're going to shuffle all the secret goals, deal one each to each player, and then put the rest here. Deal out all the building, shuffle the building deck, deal out 3 here. Shuffle the refugee deck, put out 2 here. Put out these 1 victory point markers in the first 2 rounds, 2 victory point markers for the next 4 rounds, and in the 7th round, the 3 victory marker. You're going to have 2 of your workers on round 3 and 6, which you will get once you get to that round, and you'll have your round marker starting at 1. I should mention I'm using the Kickstarter edition right here, so the pieces may be different from the retail. You're going to have the player order here. Whoever goes first starts with 5 victory points, or coin, which is victory points, and then second player gets 6, third player gets 7, fourth player get 8. You'll have your little siege thing right here on this starting one, and each round it will move up until it reaches the 7th round right there. Each player will start with one of these barracks cards. They get one of those for free. And then you'll shuffle this deck of the gold and with the green dot on it, shuffle them around and give these out to the players. And in the numbers at the top here shows what order they're going to start the game at. All right, so that kind of determines who goes first. On top of that, you'll get your own little player board here. Player boards all look a little different, but they do the same thing. This one's for green. You're going to put your 4 wooden fortress walls here. Your gate, which only has 1 cube in it, can go anywhere you want. You just decide where you want to orient it. Doesn't matter. And then you're going to put little wooden cubes in all of your walls. You're going to put farms in the first 4 corners. The tiles look a lot the same, but if you look on the back of it, the corners here of this one are blue, which tells me this goes to the blue player here. And you'd have corners for green player too. But anyway, you'd start with 3 of your little builder workers right here, a gray builder off to the side that you may or may not need during the game. You're going to start the game with 4 food, 3 wood, 2 stone, and 1 iron there. You're also going to have your little 50 and 100 point counter there, and you're going to get one of these siege tokens here that's double-sided. Everyone will play with one. They'll also get a little job aid here that has things on the front and the back. This does in-game scoring. This tells you about combat, and this one gives you the round structure and the cost of upgrading things. So after you've done that, you are ready to play. How it works is, first off, it's worker placement. You're going to go around the board placing out your workers one at a time, taking actions. You'll be buying certain things or trading certain things for goods. And if ever you make money or spend money, you're going to move yourself up and down this track. Each one is very self-explanatory. This one gives you 4 coins and a mercenary, or you can get 5 food. This is 3 stone, 5 wood, 2 iron. So it's kind of easy. This, as long as you pay the cost at the top of the card, you will get them. You can have as many of these as you want. At the end of the game, they'll each be worth a victory point, sometimes 2 victory points, depending on what the coin is there, and will let you do something. So for every round, I can get a wheat, or upgrade a farm is what that is, and get a shield. Not bad. They all do different things, and really the iconography is so easy. This one says, hey, if you would be sacked, which I'll talk about sacks in a minute, you can deal 3 damage to the invaders and see if you're still sacked. So that's really nice. Or this one, which is just an extra worker placement here, which you can get either 5 coin or you can heal someone. Now, like I said, you can buy those, and of course there are certain places on the board they're only for 3 or 4 players, so it keeps the board and worker placement very tight. Now, once everyone has done their actions, then they're going to resolve the invasion. But before they do, they're going to, and by the way, I should mention, they start with 2 of their own little guards, red guards, right here in the center. There are ways to purchase more. The difference between guards and mercenaries are for one time only, and once the round is over, they will disappear. But you don't have to feed the mercenaries. These guys are permanent in the game. Even if they're injured, they still won't go away. And you can heal them too to kind of get them back into the game. But they are permanent in your fortress once you buy them. Now there are some worker placement places here on your own player board. Everyone has the same ones. These upgrade your 4 farms. So for instance, I place a man here. You know, one of my meeples goes here, and then I can upgrade 3 of these. As you see, it's 1 bread, but I can flip it over for 2 bread. If let's say after an attack, it caught on fire because it got, destroyed. Well, for one action, I could take this off, and then for a second action, flip this around and maybe flip another one around. So this is also how you repair those farms too. And placing these little shields on them will protect them for one round during raids. The next one here is build. The build action is where you can build and upgrade as much as you want. So if you lost one of your walls, you can rebuild the wooden wall for 3 wood, or build a tower. A tower costs 4 wood. You can put it anywhere you want. You're going to put 1 cube here, so that means if it gets 1 damage, it's going to be destroyed. But whatever corner it's on, it's going to defend both corners of that wall. So those are really nice to have. Of course, stone ones are better. Now, if you're upgrading a wood to a stone, you don't have to pay the wood. But if you're just skipping let's say if I didn't have a tower here, I'd have to pay 3 wood, 4 stone, and 1 iron to create one. If I already had a wooden tower, I wanted to upgrade it, I would just pay the 4 stone and 1 iron to upgrade it. Other ones here are for when things get sacked. I'll explain that in a minute. Well, I mean, right now, of course, when you upgrade one, you see it comes with more cubes, which means more damage. These take a 2 damage before they're done. These take a 5 damage before they're done. So they're a lot stronger when you fortify it. And then same thing with towers. They take 2 damage before they're destroyed, but they're not really destroyed. What happens if they get a 3rd hit, or they get that 2nd hit on them? They just catch on fire. And they won't score victory points at the end of the round, and they won't be able to defend against anyone as long as they're on fire. And of course, you can always repair any of these when you take the build action there, because whenever you're building, you can keep building. In fact, let's say I upgraded this wall here to a stone. Well, I can keep any of the wood that's left over, so that can come to me. And so let's say I upgraded that to a stone wall. Woohoo! Well, now I have enough to buy a little, with that 2 extra wood I got, I have enough to buy a wooden tower here. So I'll put the wooden tower maybe over here. All right. And so and if I was to upgrade that tower and it had a wood in it, I would get that wood to keep back. So you can keep, and also you can put repairs in there. So for instance, if this wall was hurting, like it had 4 hits already, I could add some of my stone there to kind of repair and work on the wall. So any of that you can do all in one stockpile action. This one is the infirmary. As people get wounded, your soldiers get wounded, when you place one person here, it frees 4 of them back up to go into the fortress. So you can heal up to a number of 8, which is really a lot of workers if you have them. But that's how you can bring them back into the battle for the next round. Now, after everyone has completed their actions, then we're going to go with combat. What we're going to do is the first card is always revealed, and it's always known, and it's kind of easy. First off, wherever it's facing, this one was facing south, so that means the attack is coming from here. That's why you have to spin these cards around when you're dealing them out. If it was doing here, to go from the east. If it looked like this, it's coming from the west and coming from the north. So it's coming from the south, and it says, hey, whichever coin you're at determines how many invaders are coming. If I'm at 28 coin, I have 9. If the second player is at 12, he's only having 5. So they'll have more people attacking me, but we're both at 0, so we're both going to get 2 people. So what I do is I take 2 of the invaders and I put them right here. Now, before that happens, of course, I can position my little guards anywhere along the wall. Maybe I put them here. Now, I'm going to also add an archer just to kind of show you what archers would do here. But this is an archer here. Let's say it was 2 and 1 archer. Archers are green here. So I have them here on my player board, and I'm going to try to just go over how a battle works. So let's say this is what it looks like. Well, first off, they're going to raise my farm. So boom, they set that sucker on fire. If it had a shield on it, it would have protected it for that round, and then the shield would have gone away. But it didn't have a shield on it, and so now it caught fire. Boo-hoo. It won't produce bread at the end of the round. Now, here comes the battle. Anyone you have on this wall acts as an archer. So that would be 1, 2 hits, and I would take out maybe the archer and the swordsman. Now the archer gets to return, and he hits one of my men, and they go into the infirmary. They are now wounded, so I'll bring them over here. All right, and that's kind of how the round goes. Now, if this wall were to break, and I'll talk about that later, this guy could come on in. But if this wall was to stand, then this guy can't get in, and I've successfully defended my tower, my fortress. But what if this little thing was here? Well, he can also count as shooting an arrow, and he would have shot this third guy, and I would have got them all off the board there, which would have been very awesome. But what would happen, let's say, if they did somehow break down this wall? Well, if anyone else is remaining, then they will move into the center. And you can move one of your guys in to take them out, but your guy goes again to the infirmary. If there are more guys than you have defenders, so in this case there's 2 that came in and 1 came in, I deal 1-for-1 damage, and there'd be 1 person in there, I am sacked. And being sacked is never good. It means that you can't get victory points at the end of the round. Usually the person with the most coin gets victory points, but if you've been sacked, even if you have the most victory points, you cannot get them. You've been sacked. But don't worry, because for your trouble, you will get 2 mercenaries for the next round and your gray worker if you get sacked. So it gives you a little catch-up mechanism, because that's really bad. You're going to have to repair the wall, hopefully have more actions to defend it next time around. And whenever you get sacked, you have to take out 2 of your buildings or 2 of your refugees or 1 of each. So let's say I had these 2 here. Well, if it's a building, you put this fire token on it. And if it's a person, you put this bloody sword on them. Now, you can heal them in the infirmary just like you would with anything else. So I can heal up to 4 cards or 2 cards and 2 guards if I wanted to. And the only reason you want to heal them is when you get to heal them, and if you look here, it'll tell you the cost. That is 2 bread, and that costs 1 steel to iron, to rebuild. When you do that, it'll open up these victory points that you can get in the game. But if you don't have to do that, you can still use the card's ability. You just can't score the victory points at the end of the game. But that's only if you get sacked. So that's a bad thing. You do not want to get sacked. Now, staying on combat for a minute, if this were the 2nd round, 3rd round, 4th round, it depends. You can also change the difficulty level on here, and the rules will tell you how many you're going to bring out every round. But only the first one will be revealed. The rest of them will be hidden, so you won't know where they're coming from. And instead of just waiting for this one to be attacked, you set up your men, and then more are coming out. So again, let's say this is the first round. 1 archer, 3 invaders. This one says, 2 more people coming from here we go, some from the west, some from the west, east, and another one from the west. I'm sorry, 2 from the east that are coming in this way and this way. And then, well, that's the east. I'm sorry, these are the west. Boy, I cannot do directions there. That is west right there. And so that will tell you where they're coming in, and you're going to add them all around your fortress and take them out 1 by 1. Now, there are ways to move your men around the fortress as they are trying to fend off attackers. So if I wanted to, and I had 3 over here, and I only had 2 guards posted here, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I really misread that. There's so many over there. You can use these movement cards. Now, these little movement tokens you can get through various actions in the game, but you can move up to 1 or 3, or I can move 4. So I just move like maybe, let's say 2. I can move from this wall to this wall. That way they shoot 3 and defeats everyone. But unfortunately, he hit one of my guys, and he's going to go to the infirmary. So that's how you can move around during the game. Now, once you position your people, you cannot move them anymore. If anyone breaks through the wall and an invasion starts, you may move them down into the courtyard, but that's about it. Moving them from wall to wall, you're going to have some of these movement tokens during the combat phase. But this is just the invader cards. You always have to reveal one of these yellow cards, which is the siege cards. And there are only 2 types here. And of course, whichever direction it's facing is the area that it's coming in. But you have these that have an arrow, which means it's a ladder. And then these that have a castle getting hit, which means it's the catapult. Now, if it was the catapult, depending on how much coin you have, depends on how many times it can hit it. And if it's a ladder, however many of those army men are left on the ground, 1, 2, or 3 will jump right in. Well, that's not it. This is the, where's the ladder action? There's the ladder action. 1, 2, or 4 will jump over the wall and start invading your fortress. So again, to show you how that works, let's say it was a ladder here, and I had 2 people here, and they shot at these 2 people here, and he had a ladder. Well, at the end of the round, depending on how many points I had, but there only is one, he will climb the ladder and jump on in, and then I have to send someone down there to deal with them. So ladders can be very bad, especially as people, you're not being able to fend off all of the ground people there. If it's a siege cannon, it will hit you. What it does, it doesn't hit the people. The archers hit the people. It will hit walls and towers. It attacks towers first and then walls. So if it hit me once, it would just take out this tower and that'd be it. If it was to hit me twice, it'd take out the tower in one space on the wall. Now, if my wall loses a second wood, then it would be destroyed, and this invader would still come in regardless of whether he had a ladder or not. Now, one of the things while you're building up walls and towers, you may also spend certain wood tokens in your area to rebuild walls in between turns. So I can also rebuild that on my next turn if I wanted to. But again, if it was a third hit here, then this wall would be destroyed, and these guys would be more than welcome to come on in and do melee battle. Now, all this is explained in the iconography here. Of course, here you've been getting sacked or not and what you get in return for it. And basically, that it tells you how combat goes. Very simple. Once you do it the first time, you won't forget it. Now, once combat is completed, you're going to award your flags. This is whoever has the most coins on the coin track at this time will get this victory point. If it is a tie, then they will split the victory points if they can. So, for instance, this 2 would be split up into 2 1s. There are extra 1s in the game. So would a 3. You just split it 2 ways and then get rid of the other one. But those extra victory points can come in handy. After that, you're going to do income and turnover. Income, what you're going to do is you're going to count all the pieces in your board. Stone's worth 2. Even stone towers would be worth 2 unless they're on fire. If a stone tower is on fire, then they will not count as victory points. They also can't defend from an invasion either. But wood towers account for 1 point, wood walls would count for 1 point, and wood stone would count for 2. So for instance, this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'd go up 6 gold. And you do that for everyone. Now, whoever is last on the track will go first in the player order. If it's a tie, then it will stay the same, whatever that player order was before. After that, you will have a harvest and then a feast. You have to feed all of your red players. Even if they're injured, you must feed them. If you don't have enough food for them, you will substitute food for victory points. All right? But you also get to harvest before that. So any of these farms will also generate food. So these would generate 4 food. But if this one was on fire, it would not generate food. If this one was flipped over and upgraded later on to 2, it would deliver 2 food. So this is how you can feed your folks at the end of the round. After that, you clear off the board, take all the workers back. You'll boot out this card and this card where the X is, and then shift it all down and bring out another card from the deck, and then move the round tracker. Again, if it opens up to where it hits a worker, everyone will get a bonus worker in the game, and you keep playing. At the end of 7 rounds, what you're going to do is you're going to count all of your flags, so all the flags for victory points here. Any farms you have left standing, whether a 2 farm or 1 farm, doesn't matter, counts for 1 victory point each. That could be 4 victory points if all 4 of your farms are still standing. Tableaus are these cards. So any of these cards here, building or people cards, you would count up all the points unless they have that fire or sword on there, then you wouldn't count those points. And then you'd count up any victory point cards, secret objective cards that you had. At the end of the game, whoever has the most points wins. Final thoughts, what do I think about the game? 3 things I forgot to mention. First off, in the video, I upgraded a gate with a wall. You're not supposed to do that. You upgrade gates with gates and walls with walls. The second thing was, at the end of the round, you should also move that little catapult by the score track up 1 to the next image, catapult image. The reason for that is, if anyone decides to like sandbag points, like they spend more than they make, just so they can keep their score low so they don't have to deal with many invaders round after round. Well, if the catapult surpasses you, you're going to go to the minimum of whatever that catapult is. Now, I think that's great to have, but because it's there, no one did it. Everyone made sure to get plenty of victory points to stay ahead of the catapult. So I get why they have it, but in our games, we never use it. And the third thing, there is a promo that's with this that I do have called Captain of the Guard. It's just an extra card and an extra player piece. He's just a guard that if you buy him, he's one of the people you can put in the refugee or the people's camp or whatever. If you buy him, He basically counts as a +1 in battle, both in archery and on the ground in melee battles, and you don't have to feed him. So what do I think? Well, this game first came out. I didn't know about it until after the Kickstarter came out. I was like, wow, this looks great. Tried to buy one of their existing copies, and I got my time zone mixed out, and these things sold out immediately. But the second Kickstarter I did get, it did take a very long time to get in. That's a story for another time. But I'm just going to review the game as is. The game as is fun. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of strategy here. You're trying to build up your castle and whatnot. Of the 3 games we've played so far, all of them were 1 point. 1 point. I lost by 1 point 3 times. And that was great, because here's the thing. I don't buy people. I do not buy buildings. The building cards. I just don't buy the cards, which is sad because that's probably what lost me the victory point. There's plenty of paths to victory here, and buying those cards are good, but we were very rarely. I think everyone bought I think the most someone bought was maybe 3 people in one building. I think that's the most. 4 cards was the most anyone ever bought in any of our games at any time. And there's always people buying about 4 cards each except for me. Because I don't think they're worth I don't think they're worth 1 or 2 victory points, and they're definitely not worth the resources because you're trying to build up your castle. Now, here's the thing. You'll never get your fort to be built up to like have all 4 stone towers and all 4 stone walls. It'll never happen, at least in our game. I don't think, again, the closest I got was 4 stone walls and 4 stone towers, and after then, I was just spending all my resources to rebuild, because that's what you're doing, is trying to rebuild. Thankfully, I don't think anyone got sacked. Some people came extremely close, but I don't think anyone got sacked. But getting sacked isn't too bad, because you have those mercenaries who are 1 time only that you don't have to feed. You get 2 of those, and you get an extra worker. So that actually gives you a little bit of a step ahead to get back and repaired and back in business to play. So I really do enjoy the game. I think it's a lot of fun. The only thing is, like I said, the cards, I mean, they do special things, but is it worth it? Like I said, people who had all these cards, I had 0, besides those 2 starting cards, I didn't have any extra cards, and I only lost every time by 1. So maybe what? Do I buy one of the villager cards next time and tie someone up? Or, I don't know. I'm just saying, it doesn't seem like it makes that big of a difference to get those cards. Again, we've only played 3 times, so I could be wrong. But overall, this is a fun game. All right, gamers, that's it for now. Until next time, you know what to do. Game on!